the entire photosynthesis, this process can be grouped into two main processes. That is, what I said was light dependent reactions. As the name itself indicate, these light dependent reactions mainly depend on the solar energy. Okay, it depends on the light energy. Okay, and through this light energy, the outcome of light dependent reaction is oxygen. Okay, and also it is mainly responsible for the production of ATP. Okay, adenosine triphosphate, and also NADH. Okay, which will be used by the light independent reactions. Okay, along with the carbon dioxide which is there in the atmosphere. Okay, so those are the input for this light independent reactions, and the final outcome of the light independent reaction is your sugar. Okay, that is a sugar molecule, which is the main source of the energy for the plant. Okay, so these light dependent reactions, don't take this light dependent reaction and light independent reactions. There may be some two different processes, okay, occurring simultaneously, but the dependency is there. Okay, light dependent reactions are dependent on light independent reactions, and light independent reactions are dependent on light dependent reactions. Okay, so there is a dependency is there between these two processes. Okay, so that is what it is clearly shown here. So you can clearly observe this diagram. So this light dependent reactions, where the main source for this light dependent reaction is the solar light. Okay, so the light, and also another input for this is water molecule. Okay, which is absorbed from the soil. Okay, and the main output of the outcomes of this light dependent reaction is the oxygen molecule O2. Okay, which will be released through the process of photolysis. Okay, and also the sugar molecules generated, that is ATP and NADPH. Okay, those which will be used make use of by this light independent reaction, which is called as Kelvin cycle. Okay, and another input for this Kelvin cycle, along with the ATP and NADPH, which was manufactured, which was produced during the process of light dependent reaction. Okay, so along with it, the another important source is carbon dioxide, which is existing in the atmosphere. Okay, so these are the input for the light independent reactions, which is called as Kelvin cycle. Okay, and what is the main outcome of this light independent reaction or light independent process is the glucose, and also the NADPH molecule. Okay, and also the inorganic phosphate and the ADP, adenosine diphosphate, which will be made use by this light dependent reaction. Okay, for the generation of oxygen and for the generation of this ATP and NADPH. Okay, so this is what all these are all independent processes. Okay, so when the question is asked, you should write the diagram. Okay, and clearly understand what are the inputs for the light reactions and what is the outcome of the light reactions. Okay, and what are the inputs for this Kelvin cycle, or otherwise it is called as light independent process. So the dependency of light is not required for this Kelvin cycle. Okay, Kelvin cycle, it makes use of the ATP and NADPH, which was manufactured during the process of light independent reaction, light dependent reaction, and carbon dioxide. So it converts it into sugar molecule. Okay, and that will be the main source for the energy for the plants. Okay, so what are these two processes and what are the chemical reactions? So it is shown through this flow chart. Okay, so light dependent reactions, as the name itself indicates, it requires the light energy. Okay, it requires the light energy for the entire process. Okay, and this light dependent reactions, it takes place inside the thylakoid membrane. Figure. Okay, so the thylakoid plast. Okay, so where this light dependent reaction takes place. Okay, and so these light dependent reactions, when the light energy is absorbed by the chlorophyll. Okay, so the chlorophyll is a coloring pigment which is there in the chloroplast. Okay, so the chlorophyll and other pigments in the thylakoid membrane of the chloroplast. Okay, the light energy will be absorbed by this chlorophyll and other the pigments which are there in this thylakoid membrane. So this entire process, light dependent reactions will take place in this thylakoid membrane. Okay, and the water molecules, as I said, H2O are split through the process of photolysis. Okay, so through the process of photolysis, this H2O, the water molecule, will be split into electron, okay, photon and oxygen molecule O2. Okay, so that for the whatever the oxygen which was released in the process of photolysis, which will be we will be inhaling that oxygen. Okay, and that oxygen is mainly responsible for the all living organisms. Okay, and whatever these excited electrons from the process of photolysis. Okay, so that will be captured by these electron carriers such as nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, and they are converted into NADPH. Okay, and this the adenosine diphosphate ADP. Okay, which will be converted, which makes use of the inorganic phosphate. Okay, and it converts it into adenosine triphosphate ATP. Okay, which is shown in the star symbol here, ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is very essential for this entire process of photosynthesis. Okay, so adenosine triphosphate, which will be released through the process of phosphorylation. Okay, through the process of phosphorylation, this ATP will be generated from the adenosine diphosphate. Okay, and this ATP, whatever it is generated through the process of phosphorylation, which is very much essential for the process of photosynthesis. Okay, and the main outcome of this light dependent reaction is oxygen molecule, which is generated from the photolysis process, and also the ATP and NADPH, which is generated from the phosphorylation process. Okay, and this O2 which was generated, we will be using it, and the ATP and NADPH that will be made use by the light independent reactions for the generation of sugars. Okay, for the generation of sugar. Okay, that is what it is shown in this complete diagram. That is a flow chart. So light independent reactions, it is otherwise also called as Kelvin cycle. Okay, it is also called as Kelvin cycle. And what are the inputs for this Kelvin cycle is, one is the carbon dioxide which is there in the atmosphere, and another one is the ATP adenosine triphosphate and NADPH, which is generated from the light dependent reactions. Okay, and what is the outcome of this light independent reaction? That is sugar. Okay, that is sugar. So this carbon dioxide and this, they may ask for the differentiate between light independent and light dependent. So light independent reaction will take place in the stroma. Okay. So this is the membrane which is between the thylakoid membrane and the chloroplast membrane. Okay. So this stroma, within this stroma, the light independent reaction will take place, and the entire process of light dependent reaction which takes place in the thylakoid membrane. Okay. So these are some of these chemical reactions. The ultimate outcome of this chemical reaction is the sugar. Okay, sugar and the starch, which the plants will be making use for the energy source. Okay, main energy source. So some of these reactions are, so whatever this unstable 6-carbon compound, which quickly breaks down into 2 molecules of 3-phosphoglyceride, that is also called as PGA. Okay, so ultimately, so it makes use of ATP and NADPH in the generation of the sugars and the starch. Okay, and this PGA, the ATP and NADPH, which was generated in the previous process, So this ATP and NADPH, which is generated in the previous process, along with this 3-phosphoglyceride. Okay, so which is it makes use of all this for the generation of G3P. Okay, which is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Okay, all these are all the chemical reactions which are taking place inside the chloroplast. Okay, and some of these G3P molecules which are used by the for the generation of sugars and starch, and other G3P molecules which will be used for the future use. Okay, again it will be making use for this entire light independent reactions. Okay, so this G3P molecules, some of the molecules will be used for the generation of sugar, and other molecules which will be used in the subsequent cycles. Okay, and whatever the glucose and the carbohydrates, that is the outcome of this light independent reactions which is stored in the plants. Okay, for the future usage. Okay, for the future usage, and that is the main source of energy for the plants. Okay, that is the main source of energy for the plants. And if no energy for the plants, no photosynthesis. If no photosynthesis is taking place, then no living organisms can exist on this entire earth. Okay, so all these are all chain linked processes. Okay, that will be taking place. Okay, so this is the things. And so this photosynthesis process has led for the invention of photovoltaic cell. What was the idea? The conversion of here in the entire photosynthesis process, the light energy is converted into the useful form of energy, that is glucose and carbohydrates. Okay, so that is the main idea. So photosynthesis process has led for the foundation of photovoltaic cell, where the light energy is converted into electrical energy by the solar cell. Okay, so that is the baseline. So this photosynthesis process has led for the invention of photovoltaic cells and the bionucleus.